Hi, I'm Matt Diaz from the Minnesota Coalition for the Homeless, and you're watching the Shelter Capital Highlight Reel. Today we're going to have some fantastic advocates and organizations talking about their Shelter Capital projects and the impact they have on preventing and ending homelessness in Minnesota. But first, we should take a moment to talk about why Shelter Capital is so important. MCH has identified over $100 million in shelter capital needs throughout Minnesota that will create or preserve over 2,000 shelter beds. MCH is also advocating to create shelter infrastructure bonds, also known as SIBs, that will provide the funds to expand, preserve, and rehabilitate shelter beds to create temporary housing for people experiencing homelessness. We're supporting this because we know that funding the preservation and construction of shelter is key to providing safe and dignified spaces for people experiencing homelessness all across Minnesota. Shelter models that are culturally specific, serve the LGBTQ community, and are low barrier are needed to address gaps in the shelter system. And with that, let's get started.
Our project is to expand on our scattered site model of providing shelter to all people experiencing homelessness in our community. And this would provide a safe, stable environment that would help people transition to permanent housing. And it would not only benefit individual members of the community by providing them safety, but would benefit the community at large by relieving undue stress on other social safety net programs. State funds would allow us to purchase property and make improvements upon it to better serve individuals, families, people with disabilities in our community.
Every year, more than 13,000 Minnesota youth will experience homelessness. Avenues plans to build a new home for ourselves in North Minneapolis. Our new home will provide a much better trauma-informed living space for the youth we currently support, and it will allow us to grow our programming to help fill the huge gap between the needs of youth experiencing homelessness and existing shelter capacity. State funds will make this project possible and will help us move more young people into stable housing.
So Violence Intervention Project is the only domestic and sexual violence emergency shelter in Northwest Minnesota, serving 5 counties and 2 tribal nations. We're working on an expansion project to increase our shelter capacity. This includes adding 3 new shelter rooms with individual bathrooms and 4 on-site apartments.
Landing MN is in the process of acquiring a piece of property to expand our day center services in the Rochester, Minnesota and Southeast Minnesota area. With this acquisition, services to those individuals experiencing homelessness will be expanded to include more medical help, financial assistance, legal aid assistance, things to help get them back on their feet. State funding will help acquire the property and improve the property for those purposes.
So New Pathways Incorporated in central Minnesota, serving 5 counties, the only shelter program for families with children who are experiencing homelessness, really needs your help. We are in a position that our program is very vulnerable. We rely on churches to provide our shelter at night, and they just are not able to do that right now, and they may not be able to do that in the future. So what we are doing is planning and working our way towards a 24-hour site-based program where we're going to be able to serve more families. We can serve them in one site so they're not transitioning and moving week to week, and we can meet their needs and get them back on their feet again. And in order to do that, we need funding. We need the investment to get this building and program started so then we can work on sustaining it. Our families need you, our children need you to just really see them and help meet their need.
I'm Leanne Littlewolf. I'm a co-executive director for ACO, the American Indian Community Housing Organization in Duluth, Minnesota. And we currently operate the Dabanuagun Emergency Shelter, which has in the past been a 10-bed emergency shelter program. We are expanding that to 24 beds right now, and we are renovating space to do that. And it will accommodate single households and family households. And we have high need in our community for shelter and for safety. And I would say that we are an American Indian-led organization, and we use Indigenous strategies in our services. And we are the only culturally specific shelter in the region.
There's just not enough available space for people. It's really terrible to have to tell people that there isn't anything available for them, and they're faced with having to live in a doubled up, unsafe environment, sleeping in their car, or maybe leaving an area where they have support. So being able to continue to do what we do and then expand on that to serve more of the population and all different types of households and needs, everyone deserves a safe place to stay.
Every year, more than 13,000 young people in Minnesota will experience homelessness. and that we have shelter capacity to support only a fraction of them. So the need is tremendous. Avenues works very closely with our partners at other youth serving agencies, but we are not able to come anywhere near to meeting the need. So this project will help us grow and expand and start to fill that gap between the needs of youth and the existing capacities.
It is a great need. We are full 90% of the time and have calls coming in and end up putting these people into safe hotel where it's not exactly safe or an ideal place for them to be. So if we had the room, I know we would fill up.
The apartments are really needed. We have lots of what we call hard to home people. So anybody that's an undocumented immigrant, anybody that maybe has substance abuse issues, does not have income. Many of them come to us with no birth certificate, no driver's license, no social security card, and it can take us months. It can take us 6 months to get those things. Many of our people come to us with those documents, and you can't get ID without those documents, and you can't rent a house, you can't do anything. You can't get a job, you can't do anything with those.
Our numbers are not going down. We saw, I think, 199 unique individuals in the month of February that stated that they were homeless. We saw 213 unique individuals had 1,500 visits through the day center. It's there. It's not going to get better until we get better about housing people and helping them stay housed. I don't think we can build units quick enough or get units designed and up quick enough to start to address the housing issue. I just think the need is going to continue to grow. I think we need to continue to grow to be able to service that need.
The need is huge. We serve between 130 and 190 people each year, and that's been with the 10 beds. And we usually have anywhere from 400 to 600 requests that are considered turnaways. So they call when we're full, so we're not able to meet that need. So I think that, there is a huge need for shelter and for safety.
We have families that continue to live in abusive situations and be harmed. A lot of times these families, if they're living in these types of situations, kids don't make it to school. Sometimes they don't get fed, they're neglected. Sometimes they don't have transportation to get to doctor's appointments, to get to dental appointments, all those kinds of things. And then in the end, we've had people die, because they've had to stay somewhere or they went back to somewhere, whether it's living conditions or they've been murdered by the abuser.
If we do not have state support, I do not think we can transition into a 24-hour site-based shelter. We're in a very small community. We don't have access to the large funding streams that are available in the metro area. We don't have the foundation. We just don't have the funding streams. We really struggle in central Minnesota to have funding to meet that need and with our shelters.
I would love to share a story about a young person named Shantasia. Has given us permission to share her story with you. And before she came to Avenues, she lived in an abandoned house, spent some time couch hopping. She came to us, she was depressed, she was angry, she had suicidal thoughts. And then she moved into Avenues, and over time she really opened up to staff about her dreams for herself, and that what she really wanted to do was become a nurse. And while she was with us, she really took advantage of the education supports that we offer, the career supports that we offer. She became a certified nursing assistant. She's moved into her own stable housing now, and she's continuing to pursue her becoming a registered nurse. So with places like Avenues, young people can do that and thrive and come to thrive.
Yeah, there's so much potential. And I feel like those that have been experiencing homelessness haven't been a priority. There's been a lot of devastation with COVID, but there's some silver linings in that really dark cloud. And this is one of them that it brought to the surface the weaknesses in the systems and the needs of those that are struggling, and that housing is healthcare and shelter is saving lives and housing is ending homelessness. So it's just a really exciting time to be involved in this work.